Okay, so let's talk about our chain. That's a biggie right there, okay? Now, some things you do want to evaluate on your chain and your sprockets is, are they worn out? Are they tired? So a good idea to take a look at your sprockets, and if you start seeing them, it's a term called shark finning. You'll actually see the fins starting to bend over just from time and use. If you start seeing that, it's time to replace the sprockets, okay? Also on your chain, definitely maintain that. This one's starting to just get a little rusty. Now also think of chain lubricant as a rust preventative as well. So if you take your car to the car wash, after you get it back, spray that hose or that chain down and really hose it down with some good lubricant. That way it's going to prevent that thing from rusting up on you as well, okay? Now, tension on a chain is really crucial. Pretty much a standard dirt bike with load on the ground as it sits. Ideally, you want to check it right by the end of the chain glide here. And kind of a standard rule of thumb is from slack, 3 fingers. This one's about 2 3/4, which is totally fine. But you do definitely want that slack right there. You don't want to check it with the tire off the ground. That's going to give you a false reading. So you do want to check it with load on the ground, and that's going to give you the proper reading. If you have to adjust that, basically loosen your axle nut. And if you've got a fixed axle on this one, you just have to loosen the nut on that side. That's going to free up your axle, and then you can adjust your adjuster blocks equally, and you should have little sight marks to go by to keep everything true and square. Now, kind of back on maintaining and greasing and cleaning all these areas. If those areas are clean, that's going to make it easier to adjust the chain because those will slide forward and back instead of fighting them, that kind of thing. One thing that I do come across when you don't maintain things or get to them regularly, your adjuster bolts will actually seize up in your swing arm. It's a nightmare to fix. Sometimes we have to replace the swing arm because the bolt's seized up in there. So it's a good idea to move those around a little bit, get a little lubricant on them, and that way you know that's going to be freed up for you if you have to use that, okay? All right, one more wear and tear thing on the chain. Now we're looking for slack here, but we're also looking for side torsional slack here. If this starts getting really wiggly on you, it's time to replace it, okay? Because what can happen is you can actually be going through a bump at a little bit of an angle. That's going to throw that chain off that rail, and then you'll have a chain that's derailed, and then you're stuck in the weeds somewhere, okay? So those are just indicators. Yep, time to change it. This one's still in good shape. There's not a whole bunch of side slack to it, and it's good to go there. The front sprocket's in great shape. It's not shark finning over or anything like that. So this chain's in fine shape. I'd probably put a little extra lube on it, and then you're good to go there. I do want to show you a chain cleaning tool so you're familiar with that. I've got one of those over here on the bench. I'll snag it up really quick. Yes. Okay. All right, so chain cleaning tool, real simple. You can pick these up in most of your motorcycle shops. Basically, you're just going to put this on here. Sometimes I'll spray a little bit of cleaner in there. You're just going to work this back and forth, or if you've got the bike up on a stand, which is easier, then you can just rotate the wheel and spin it around and get all that crud out of there. Okay, so makes that a little easier, and that's going to give your chain a lot more longevity on it as well. Okay. If you have any lighting on your system, check out your lighting. Make sure it's working. Make sure your brake lights are working, front and back, off the pedal and off the hand grip. If they're not, sometimes the contact points get a little dirty, and just maybe time to clean them or replace them, those type of things, okay? That way you're not rolling down the road thinking you're stopping and no one knows what you're doing out there, okay? Let's see, I think that kind of does a quick synopsis. Wheel bearings, you definitely want to check those out. I usually just grab the bike right here, give it a little side force. If you feel any play going on, then it's time to address those wheel bearings. But if you keep those seals greased up, that's going to help out with those bearings getting dried out as well, and just give you a little more longevity on that. Same thing on your forks as well. I usually just take here, give it a little wiggle, see if I've got any play going on here. If not, great. If you're starting to feel some wiggle, it's time to address those wheel bearings up on front. As far as your head bearings here, a good way to check it is I usually just squeeze the brake, and we're just feeling for a little bit of play just by moving it back and forth. This one feels okay. If you have any questions on it, sometimes you can have one of your partners just kind of put their hand right there as you do that motion forward and back, and if you feel any wiggle up in that headstock, maybe it's time to pull that headstock off and do some re-lubrication and maybe a light torque up on it. Other than that, I mean, that's kind of a quick quick hit on it, but I hope that helps out on just kind of giving you some information on that, gang. So good deal, Jeff.
Thanks,
You bet.
Rob.
You bet.
That's awesome information. So, and I'm hoping that our group has learned something and it's valuable. And also, obviously, we'd like to have your feedback on this so we can improve more on how we can bring more information for you that's valuable. Again, thank you to Edge Power Sport for hosting this.
Well, we're happy to do it.
Working with us. And we hope that we're going to be doing a lot more of these.
Yeah, that'll be great. I know this was a little seat of my pants kind of right off the bat, but in the future, maybe we can be a little more honed in on if you have any questions, topics, or anything like that you want to address. Definitely fill Jeff in, and hopefully I can help you out on it.
Right. Well, thank you.
Good
Again,
deal.
this is the first time, so we have some a little bit of glitch, as I mentioned earlier, with audios and things like that. So we will publish this because we are also filming at the same time. So we will get it edited and then we publish it. So if you miss something or whatever, if you can't hear, whatever, follow and we'll publish it out and you'll be able to see that once more time or as many times as you want.
Fantastic.
So, once again, thank you for joining us and I hope to see more of you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, gang.
All right, bye.